This is Employment Law Q&A. In the studio today, Lara Scott and occupational psychologist Dr. David Biggs. Employment Spotlight now, and organisations that offer flexible working to their staff may find that it increases recruitment and retention rates and creates a more loyal and productive workforce. So should all staff have the right to request flexible working? Well, Lara Scott and Dr. David Biggs are here to tell us more. Now, I know you studied this in a bit of detail, haven't you, David? What did you find?
I found you out.
Well, I mainly looked at flexible working from a temporary work position. So it was really quite a fascinating study because I used both quantitative measures and qualitative measures. And some of the qualitative measures actually really showed how much various individuals really appreciated, the chance that they could have, like working as an agency worker or what have you. And it was a really interesting study because they could almost fit work in between, like college and university, or in between, sort of mother and baby groups. There were a whole load of people that could actually enter into the workforce through that whole industry, really. So it was very interesting.
Lara, good idea.
Well, it's interesting you use the word offer because since I think it was the 6th of April 2003, any parent or an individual with responsibility for a child under 6 has the right to request flexible working from their employers. So it is actually statutory right that we can enforce, but only if we have children under 6, which obviously not all of us do. But in those situations, it affords parents a fantastic opportunity, provided the time off is for childcare. Your employer can lawfully refuse your request, but if he does so unreasonably, you can get compensation for that.
So that not change though, because I know I work much better later at night, around about 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's when my mind really gets in gear. It takes time, but finally we get there at about that time of the night, and then I'm on a roll then. I mean, should we not be allowed to say, OK, I'll start working later and then I'll be more productive?
I mean, I often think it depends on the actual occupation. I mean, many of the occupations I've sort of worked in as like a consultant and also now as a university lecturer, you can actually change your hours to suit yourself. So, for instance, I mean, last night I was up till about 10 o'clock doing exam questions, for one of the courses that I do. And I just find that same as you, Dean, that my brain works so much better. And rather than sort of getting up early and trying to force myself to write exam questions, which would take me 2 or 3 hours, to write just one exam question. I mean, I was just sort of knocking them out.
Yeah, but you're quite fortunate to be in that position.
Yeah.
We need to consider the effect on the employer, particularly small employers. If everybody wanted to work certain hours, it could make their business unprofitable and unviable, really, if it's just not possible, if he needs people there to answer the phones or to see clients. I mean, obviously, it's a 50-50 balance between employees and employer, and all too often we can forget the needs of the employer.
I mean, I know obviously I can do some elements of my job from home at 10 o'clock at night, but do we think it's right then that we do have, should we have more of a choice, and maybe it's something we negotiate further with our employers rather than just say, OK, it's only if you've got kids?
I think it is possible. I mean, the legal framework, as I describe, is only if you've got children under 6, but I think there is scope for everyone in their respective roles to negotiate with their employers through the grievance procedures. If you're finding a working situation impossible, if your hours are impossible, your place of work, if it's not going to cause a significant detriment to your employer, you might find that they'll facilitate it.
OK, interesting stuff. We've got this text from Chris Guest. My company is relocating 20 miles away. Do they have to provide a relocation package? That's his question. What's the answer?
Well, there's no legal right or a law that says that your employer has to provide a relocation package. But what's happening in effect is that your employer is varying the terms of your contract of employment. Any variation should be supported by consideration, and by that I mean either a pay rise or some kind of a financial reward, if you like, a lump sum. And your employer should seek your consent before the variation is imposed. If that isn't obtained, you do have recourse through resignation and claiming constructive unfair dismissal. And I have dealt with a number of cases where we've been successful in that, although of course it's a last resort, because if he's happy in his work he won't want to leave. Unfortunately, that's the situation.
That's the thing, isn't it? A relocation or something that really tests how much we actually think of our work really reveals a lot, doesn't it?
And 20 miles, was it, I think you said?
20 miles.
It's quite significant, certainly. So, I mean,
we're on the same level here.
He may find that he will be offered a relocation package. So.
Okay, all right. How about this email from Stuart? I work as a mobile security officer, driving anything up to 12 hours per night when I'm on duty. Could you tell me if there's a specific limit on the amount of hours people are allowed to drive?
There certainly are. There's very strict hours. Not just driving, in fact, hours that we can work and the amount of rest that we're meant to have.
Oh, tell me more.
Ooh, not sure about that. But for an example, in any 7-day reference period, you should have a period of 24 hours of uninterrupted rest. In terms of drivers, there are extra conditions, but they relate mainly to people who drive vehicles that are over 3 tonnes, so your Arctic lorries, not, as is often the misconception, to white van drivers, so we'd need to ascertain a few more details. But there are strict deadlines and guidelines, and if he breached, he'd be just as liable as his employer. So if he wants more information, I can certainly help him further with that, because obviously he doesn't want to cause an accident, and then there's all kinds of considerations.
Sure. There's so much for employers to know, isn't there, David, and employees as well. I mean, and legislation's changing all the time, isn't it? It's so difficult to keep on top of all this and what we should and shouldn't do.
Instruct a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because from a university's perspective, we actually have like a law department or what have you, and we often sort of think about actually creating short courses just to get people up to speed with what's going on in the business environment, really. So I think that there are lots of things that organisations can do just to make people aware of things like as
but it is becoming increasingly onerous and, in my opinion, quite biased towards employees. We're being afforded more and more rights and opportunities, as I believe we should be, but often to the detriment of employers. Larger employers, of course, can handle change, but not the smaller employers. So it's a real difficult balance to try and strike. So.
It is, but we do work such long hours, don't we, here?
Do you?
Well, obviously. It is important, isn't it, that our employers do give us a fair cop?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important that there's an element of flexibility.
Yeah.
And for instance, at the moment, I've got 6 weeks off, believe it or not, over the summer. Well, just because it's all built up.
Yeah.
But the thing is because I'm quite young in my academic career, I can't really take all 6 weeks off. So I know that I'll probably just take 2 weeks off, and then the rest of the time I'll be researching and doing everything else like that. So, but you then know that you've got the sort of flexibility. So I suppose I'm at an advantage really, as you said. I'm quite lucky in that as long as I turn up for meetings and as long as I turn up from lectures. I can work whatever times.
Sorry to cut you off. We've got Alan waiting, who really wants to ask his question. Alan's in Basingstoke. Hi there, Alan.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Hello. Not bad. Thanks for asking. What's your question?
Basically, I just wanted to know roughly where I stood with a guy I used to work with. Basically, I was in the same level as him at work. He's a lot older than me. I'm only 27. And what it is, every time I've tried to do my job, anything like that, he's put a block on it. What the situation is at the moment, I'm out of work due to this fact. I was back in work for 2 months. And he cut me off again. The time before that, he'd done exactly the same again. It's been now, I think it's 4 times now I've been finished over the same person. I'm just wondering...
so you're not actually in employment at the moment?
I'm out of employment at the moment, yeah.
And you were terminated by your former employer?
Not, well, terminated. This is basically because I was contracting.
Right,
This is basically... I couldn't continue with the job. It wasn't that I wasn't capable of doing it. I've got all the qualifications. Right. It's just they kept coming up with reasons why they couldn't keep me. But I know exactly why it is. And
why do you feel the true reason is?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One, I think it's a family issue before I basically came along. And the second one is my age.
Right. Well, it sounds like there could be grounds. I'd need to get a few more details for a claim relating to age discrimination, which is quite a new statutory provision, but forceful all the same. If you're treated less favourably on the basis of your age, which it seems from what you're telling me initially that could be the case, that does constitute discrimination. And I can help you more.
We're out of time. As you're a Geordie, Alan, we'll put you in contact with Lara and hopefully we'll get some more information for you. So thanks for your time so far. Right, we are right out of time. Thank you to Lara and David for coming in. It's been really interesting talking to you both. Hope to see you both again very soon. Now, you can still contact us with your questions, either through text, email or by phone. And we're back on Friday evening right here at 7:30 on Legal TV. But for today, from all of us in the studio, from everyone here on the team, thanks for watching. Take care. See you very soon. Bye-bye.